Is it your first time in Bali?
No. Been here 3 times.
It's the place to come back, eh?
Yeah, it's really good, man.
It's just that it's the thing,
It's
yeah?
that type of place, yeah.
Right on.
There's a lot of tourists here, isn't there? So it's kind of like being back home but away.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you a lot for doing this, Ricky.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro.
I appreciate it. I mean, I'm just going to do a little quick introduction, and maybe you could add on to that. Well,
Yeah.
what I know about you is you're a bodyweight specialist, a functional training expert, I must say, and you have the Bodyweight Gurus.
That's it, yeah. It's a movement school I set up so that I can put my workshops and coaching under a brand, basically. And then I work with and coach some master trainers across the UK so that they can deliver my style or my template of coaching across the country. And I wanted to expand that to other continents, but I mean, it grows organically. I don't force things. I mean, I could have grown this a lot bigger than I have, but I'm not so inclined to push business so hard. I do this for passion and love, you know, and yeah, I could get master trainers in every country and have them making, you know, kind of franchise my business and kind of make money out of it, but that's not really why I do it. I do this because I want to help people and I want to do something where I feel like I'm giving back to humanity, you know.
And is this a local physical location, or it's all online based?
No, it's all face-to-face.
Right.
So all of the work I do is face-to-face. I have a couple of online courses that people can subscribe to. There's one on Udemy called Calisthenics 101. I did this like 5 years ago. And there's one that I'm filming in Bali for shoulder mobility, and I might be doing some more stuff with them. That's on movement athlete. Thing about online though is you can't really deliver the quality of interaction that you can one-to-one. And when you're teaching stuff that's really specific, I feel like I'm doing a disservice if it's online, because you can't really assess someone in the same way as, you know, when you can touch them kinesthetically and things like this. And the other thing is actually it's a ball ache, to be honest. Like teaching online, you've got to do so much preparation and all the videos and getting stuff across and communicating. A lot of the time it ends up being longer than face to face, but yeah, so it's a bit of a ball ache, man. The digital space is good for connectivity, but not so good for things that need to be in face to face.
The first time I saw you back at the gym is I really identified you. I know you guys don't do the same things, but I'm a big fan of I Do Portal.
Oh yeah.
And when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, he has his style, like his own style, and that's the thing about. That's where like I find like some people like you and some people like I do that you stand up for what you do. Is like you create your own space when you train, and you're doing something completely different, but that is, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're doing movement. You're training. You're working hard. It's just like a different way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Where did you discover the way, or like how did you? My question might not be clear, but how did you like find this was like your way of expressing physical activity?
It's a really nice thing that you said, actually, and it's good insight, because I never thought of it like that, but it's true. It's like the thing you'll find with a lot of movement experts is they claim to have invented things.
Mm-hmm.
I never claimed this. I tell you one thing: there's nothing new under the sun, bro.
Nope.
There's nothing new.
No secrets.
You can't do nothing new. You can, like, I've done something called a one-arm tiger push-up. Okay, so there's a tiger push-up where you go down like this, and then you go into your forearms, and then you come back up. It's called a tiger push-up. And then just for the sake of extending the movement, I used to go down, go here, and then lift my hands up, touch my head onto my elbows, and then come back down.
Yeah, I saw you do that.
Right? and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna add in this, and then go back and do an Aztec push-up and touch my feet. And then I was like, maybe I can do this on one arm. And then I tried, and I was like, no, this doesn't work this way, but it can work this way. So now I was like, okay, tiger push-up, one arm push-up like this, then onto the forearm, then back here, and then here, and now here, here, here. I never saw anyone do that online, on any video ever, on Google, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. But I still don't claim to have invented it, because the body does what the body can do. You're only discovering it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, someone had this quote on their bio on Instagram once, and I fucking loved it, man, and I stole it and put it somewhere. I did message him. I said, listen, I love what you wrote, man. I'm going to put that on my bio, and I had it on my bio for a while. He said, the limitations of the human body are yet to be discovered.
Wow.
Right?
Well, I mean, it's crazy because like if you follow the prehab guys, they're pretty strong on the physiotherapy and rehab things, and now that they've put all their content online, I see a bunch of other people like just taking exactly what they do and reclaiming that like they kind of did it. I mean, like,
but this is the thing, when there's certain things where you can't make up any new stuff, because shoulder flexion is shoulder flexion,
exactly,
and shoulder circumduction is shoulder circumduction. So certain things, once they're said and done, they're done. But just to answer your question, go back, because I'm gonna
we kind of went away, but that's fine. That's fine.
I basically started with martial arts when I was 7. Kind of like hyperactive kid kind of thing. My dad put me in jiu-jitsu and judo. Then I started doing wrestling, Thai boxing, Wing Chun, and I have like a brown belt in Wing Chun. Like, I have quite high gradings and a lot of experience in different martial arts. This gave me a lot of connection to my body, and a lot of spatial awareness, a lot of movement awareness. We do handstands and things like that when you do martial arts. You just don't do it well. And then when it came to calisthenics, there was a point where I got to like 25. 25, and I'm 34 now, and I wanted to express myself with something else. I was bored of the martial arts, and martial arts for me is like, I'm not a violent person. I wouldn't call myself a fighter. I don't want to fight. I'm a lover. So I like the technique, I like the dance of martial arts, but I don't like the actual violence. So there was something about it where I was like, in order to test my ability, I have to fight someone. And then even if I beat him, there's always this on your conscience that somebody else will beat you, and it kind of has this thing on your brain, you know. And I feel like people that compete in that have something to prove to themselves or someone else. And by the time I got to 25, I was like, I don't have anything to prove to anyone. I just want to feel something different about how I'm training. I found calisthenics and yoga, and I got really into it. And I found I'm now competing with myself just to get better every day. So. And then I just started expressing myself. I found that I could do it quite easily because of a lifetime of training. And just practice. And I'm a Taurus. If anybody knows anything about Taurus, the sign is the bull. Where once we get driven and dedicated, and there's a red flag in front of us, we charge and we don't stop. Nothing can stop you. So I'm just dedicated to the cause and passionate, and here I am, and I've got a world record and stuff like that now. And you were saying about how people copy stuff from other people. Yeah. Like, I've copied stuff from people, but I never claimed it to be mine. Yeah. And if I copy something from someone, I credit them. I say, look, I learned this from this person, you know. And I learned this from this person, or I adapted it, but this person inspired me, and then I just put everything together and carry on. And I think the problem now is that a lot of people want to make a name for themselves, but they haven't actually gone through the years and years and years of self-training that it takes to become expressive. So you have to learn foundations in anything before you can express yourself. You can't do ballet for a month and then do a freestyle, because you don't know enough ballet to do a freestyle. Once and also I don't think you can master anything. You can only get very good at it. We're always students, right? But you do ballet for a month, you might learn 3 moves and perfect them if you're really good or whatever. Then you've still got more depth to go, you've still got more moves to learn. So the freestyle is only an amalgamation or accumulation of what you've learned. But when you've learned pretty much everything there is in that discipline, then you start pushing the boundaries of the discipline. And you say, well, there's a move where you do this, and actually now I'm going to try and do it with one arm or one leg, because I've never seen that before, right? The point I wanted to make about this is that there's a couple of moves which I would consider my signature moves, only because I'm the first person to have ever done them, or I've never seen anyone do them. And when I do them, I put them up on Instagram and I say, this is a world first. And tag someone that has done this, I want to see it. Anything, any YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever there is, tag someone that can do this. And nobody responds. And I might get 10,000, 20,000 views on it, and I don't get a single word about anyone doing it. So one of them is the Iron Cross. Yeah. With the lotus with the legs. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So the Iron Cross has been made years ago. Yeah. And now you just added.
And so was the lotus with 7,000 years ago with the yoga lotus with the feet. And what I wanted to show by doing that was, I wanted to show that even if, you know, all the people, all the Olympic gymnasts, anyone that can do it's quite a rare skill. It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's Olympic level, and it's a category. I believe it's category C or E, and the further the letter, the harder it is. So if you get F and G, these are like the hardest elements in Olympic gymnastics, and the iron cross is like a C or an E. So it's high, it's up there, man. It's Olympic level move, and hard. Probably a handful of people in the world can do it. So the people that can do an iron cross, they're not flexible enough to do a lotus because they don't practice yoga. And there's a whole thousands bunch of people that can do a lotus who are yogis, but they don't have the strength to do an iron cross.
Right.
And I was like, hold on, I can do both of these things. I'm going to mix them. I'm going to do a lotus in an iron cross, and I'm just going to look like I'm floating. And I was like, I want to do this. So I trained for it, and I did it. I put up a video, and then after I did the actual move, I was like, well, I'm not going to stop here. Now I'm going to transition into this in a crazy way. So then I was like, I want to make it look like a magic carpet. I'm going to sit on the floor in lotus, and then I'm going to do boom, boom, and just hold it in cross like this. And like, you can't push boundaries like that until you've learnt an iron cross and a lotus. And lotus is referred to as the jewel of yoga because it's really, really difficult hip mobility. It takes years to gain the flexibility to do that. And iron cross the same. So I'm just saying that a lot of people want to get to that space where they can express themselves in freestyle and push boundaries, but not many people have done the work to be able to do that. So Ido Portal, I mean, he said certain things which I don't agree with, which made me kind of lose a bit of respect for him in the past.
Same.
Stuff like, I don't train with vegans, they're weak.
Yes.
And at that moment I was vegan, and I can guarantee you I was stronger than him at that point. I was feeling to challenge him at that point. I was like, you think you're stronger? Come and train with me, bro. You think vegans are weak? Come and train with me. Let's see who's stronger. I'll hold any of these statics and do any of these calisthenics moves more than you. So let's see. But, whatever. But
also the fact that you need to train 7 hours a day. If not, you're not fit.
Yeah.
That's.
But at the same time, credit where credit's due. He is a knowledgeable guy. He's an older guy. I think he's like 50 now or something.
Really?
Something like that.
Huh.
45, 50. And, he studied and followed people like Charles Poliquin, who actually educated the industry beyond this bodybuilding era. So this whole bodybuilding is fitness. That era's gone. And people like Charles Poliquin were the first to educate people about things like that. People like Thomas Myers talking about fascia and things like that. So all this movement training and the way that anatomy works and the way the body works, this is new to the industry, and it's filtered down to the general public now, but the industry is not educated enough to be teaching it to the public yet. They're still stuck in weights and machines. And CrossFit was the first mass commercial attempt at bringing high level skill movement to the general public. The problem is the coaches aren't prepared to be teaching Olympic. The key is in the word Olympic lifting. This is not something you just walk in and do on your first day.
Absolutely.
This is Olympic level lifting. This takes years of training to do a snatch. You don't throw weight above your head until your joints and your body and your nervous system and your training is prepared for this. My problem with CrossFit is not the style of training. It's the lack of attention to detail and the lack of form. Because CrossFit is combining Olympic lifting, gymnastics and cardio. These are amazing disciplines. If you're a high level cardio like Ironman, and you can do high level calisthenics gymnastics, and you can do high level Olympic lifting, you're a fucking unit. I don't give a fuck, you're a fucking unit. But if you do this with shit form and you teach shit form, then you're not teaching anything good. Because the key is in the detail,
I feel that a lot of people think that the proper form is what their standard of it, but the real standard is actually beyond of what your actual thoughts of what is proper movement and what is quality. And I feel that in calisthenics are you have to kind of earn the right to do it, because you need a minimum of work before even being able to do at least one of those movements. Which in CrossFit there's so much scaling that it's a bar. There's bands everywhere. I mean, it's easier to cheat it.
Yes. The thing is, look, you're right, but there's different levels of there's different levels you can coach someone to.
Yep.
You can coach someone to do a snatch with a Olympic bar and no weight on it, and they can learn that very quickly after time. It doesn't mean you have to keep putting the weight up. It's the actual quality of the movement, like you said, and the key to quality of movement is biomechanical efficiency and leverage. So the reason that a deadlift is correct in a certain way is not because it's wrong to do it with your back bent. It's because it's inefficient and it might cause you an injury to do it like that. But the human body is designed to adapt, and if you have to lift something, you have to lift it. If you have a pressure that's put on you, you know, if you're hanging from a cliff on one arm and you have to pull yourself up, who gives a fuck how you get up, man? You're gonna die otherwise. You get up. Nobody's going to go, well, excuse me, you didn't climb that very technically. You should have used a heel hook and you should have done this because it's an overhang. It's like, fuck off, rock climber. I didn't ask you. I was going to die, man. I got the fuck up. I used my mouth and grabbed that fucking leaf and I got up there. Don't tell me about technical rock climbing. This is my function because I was going to die. So the body will adapt and do what it has to do. You know, if you have to grab something, you're going to do this and other joints are going to compensate, and it's not going to be biomechanically efficient because there's no load. You don't need to worry about it. But when you're lifting load, you have to make sure that things are efficient, only for your own longevity and for efficiency, because you're trying to lift the most you can. So this is about performance. Someone said something, this guy called Dr. Andrea Spina, who heads up
FRC. So you did that was one of the things I wanted us to talk about. Like you've done
I studied the
practice,
FRC thing, So when I did that about 5 years ago, I did biology as a degree, and I struggled to understand what they were talking about because it was so scientific and in-depth and based on journal papers and stuff. And I was looking around and there was like I don't know, pole dancers and, you know, sports coach and whatever, but, you know, they'd only been in the industry a couple of years and no real anatomy knowledge. I was thinking, I'm struggling to apply this. How are they going to go away and even use this? And I think they've adapted their coaching somewhat to now, but they are very, very smart guys. They're very, very smart. I just want to make one comment about something he said which inspired me, and then I want to say something else.
Yeah, for sure.
Just remind me to talk about mobility for mobility's sake. So Dr. Andrea Spina said, there is no posture that is wrong posture. And this really made me think, because we've been taught not to sit like this and everything else, but you think about me, I'm training my back all day and I'm using my muscles all day. I don't want to sit like this. My back needs a break. I sit like this all the time. People say, why do you sit like this, man? Your posture's bad. I'm like, listen, bro, when I stand, if I want to go into this position, I can. When I need to, against heavy resistance. And the key is my joints are capable, and that's all. I don't stay in one position too long. So as long as your joints are capable of expressing themselves in all the directions that they're capable of, they will not lose capability. And that's the key, is that you don't fall into patterns that cause injuries or cause fascial or body tension that's going to cause you inability. But then we get onto this mobility thing, which is what that is being able to actively express joints. And my one qualm with this whole, actually my two qualms, with this whole mobility industry, okay? Mobility is a new buzzword that many yoga teachers and other movement teachers are jumping on, but they're not qualified to understand what it means in the deeper sense. There is a lot of science behind it. We're talking about active flexibility, meaning the ability to neurologically and connect with, using motor paths, to connect with tissue in your end ranges of the range of your joints, so that you can't, if your arm is pushed back here, I can resist from here, I can feel here. If you have this flexibility, so a lot of people can do the splits, right? But if you ask them to carry weight in the splits or to stand up in the splits, they can't, because the floor is holding their legs apart. So if I ask them to stand and put their leg in the air like this in the splits, they can't, because their muscle is not capable of putting their joint in that position. The floor has to do it for them, and therefore that's a position they can't control. And if you're put into a position you can't control, that's where you get damaged, because you can't resist against it. You can be ripped or torn there. So a lot of these people saying, oh, here's a mobility routine, and they're doing a compound body movement. Nothing compound is mobility training, because mobility training is focused on joint articulation and specific expression of directional capability of a joint or ranges. So if I have a shoulder that I want to do a handstand on, I have to be able to create a line through my shoulder to get a line on the handstand. jumping into handstand 100 times is not going to help with that. You have to go right into the joint and work that capsule articulately and isolated.
By doing the cars.
Yeah, by doing cars and other, whatever it is, pails, rails, whatever the things are. And look, pails and rails aren't new. Mm-hmm. This is muscle energy technique, which was developed in the 1940s. It's physios or osteos would take your joint to the end range, and they would say, push against my hand. And then they would put it the other way and say, now push against my hand. And then, it's just this principle, which was researched in sports science back then, that has been adapted for self-practice.
Yeah.
So now you do it yourself, and
Exactly.
it's called pails and rails. But it's muscle energy technique. Nothing new under the sun. And if you want to claim that it's your technique, go ahead, but it's not. You didn't invent it. Somebody discovered that it works, but the body was already capable of it. It just took one person to discover it and document it, and then different people to play around with the technique. I've developed pails and rails further than FRC have. I claim it right now on this podcast. Pails, if I put my foot here, pails is going to be for my hip flexion. Pails is going to be pushing down into the ground. Rails is going to be pushing up against my hand. You know there's more directions than that, right? What if I push here and push inwards? What if I push here and push outwards? Suddenly I'm working abduction and adduction. This wasn't taught to me on the course, but this is pushing the boundary because I took what they taught me as far as I could, and then I was like, hold on, I can also go here and here. So what, can I now call it something different than pails and claim it as mine? No. It's the same technique. It's isometrically contracting in this position to gain a certain cellular level effect. Now what FRC did brilliantly was research what is happening at a cellular level and deliver that to people so they understand what is happening when they do those techniques. But PNF was taught a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
But nobody understood what was actually happening in the tissue when you do PNF. That's why FRC is excellent, because they actually looked into what is actually happening in the tissue at a sports science cellular level. And therefore there's no debate now, because it's been laid down in journals. We know what's happening. We know that isometric contraction yields the least inflammatory response and blah, 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 blah. So this is great. It's amazing. But a lot of people using this term mobility and movement, but they don't know what mobility is. And they're misinforming the public because they want to jump on a trend train, because they want Insta fame or they want to get hashtags or whatever. The second thing that winds me up is mobility for mobility's sake. So you've got a lot of people, I mean, even, I don't want to name names and offend people, but even some of the FRC coaches, like I said, absolutely brilliant team of people, brilliant set of work, and I actually would recommend Andrea Spina for a Nobel Prize because of what he's brought to the industry. Is absolutely brilliant, so I really respect them. But so what if you've got maximum internal hip rotation and you can make your hip do this up and down to a really weird angle? What are you using it for? For what?
Are you squatting?
Can you squat? Show me a squat.
Yeah.
Show me a decent level squat with 2 times body weight.
I saw you squat pretty heavy loads, and
so
I mean,
I'm 72 kilos. I can squat 1 rep max 120 at the moment. But I don't go for heavy back squats because moving up and down is one-dimensional. I'm doing lateral lunges, I'm doing box splits with weights on my back, and I'm going deep into my hip capsule with weight. So
doing things with that mobility.
That's it, doing things with the mobility. I do jiu-jitsu, I do judo, I do wrestling, I do Muay Thai, I do boxing, I do calisthenics. Whatever I gain mobility for, it's because I want to use it for something. It's not just to say that, oh, look at this shoulder flexion I have. It's so nice. Look, it's sexy. Look, I have 190 in my... So fuck what, man? What are you doing with it, bro? What the fuck are you doing? And like, so when
Can you run?
Yeah, you know what I mean? When my clients come in, they say to me, hey, I think I need to do some mobility stuff. And I say, well, what do you do? And they say, I work in an office. I say, do you lift? And they say, I want to work on my shoulders. I say, do you lift weight above your head? No. Do you want to do handstands? Or do you do handstands? No. Do you have any plans to do these things? No. I like to run. Okay, so you like to run. Do you use your shoulders? No. Okay, so let me assess your shoulders because you want me to assess them. I'll assess your whole body. Then you assess the shoulder and maybe they've got 150 degrees flexion. And I'd say to them, you get a tick for that. And they'd say, yeah, but you said you've got 180. I said, yeah, because I do handstands. And I throw weight above my head. I need 180. You just told me you don't want to do it. So you don't need it. Your function doesn't require 180. My grandma had pains in her shoulder the other day. She couldn't lift her arm up past here. So I helped her to do some rehabilitation stuff on it and showed her how to do the stuff the physio gave her. Because she cooks and she wants to be able to put stuff in the shelf.
Yeah, functional
I'm not
stuff.
going to make my grandma do 180, and I'm not going to teach her that. She doesn't need it. So this mobility for mobility's sake is just horseshit, man. Like, you don't teach people mobility to a certain degree just because we're capable of it. You teach them what they need for their function so that they can lead their life happily and easily and efficiently, and that's it. You don't need any more than that. The only reason I push the boundaries on my joints is so that I can show people what the body's capable of, to inspire them, so that they might look at me and say, wow.
Yeah, you're in testing too. You're testing
Yeah,
yourself.
and
as well.
exactly. Like, I walk my talk, you know. You'll never hear me say something
That you haven't tried.
that I haven't tried.
Yeah.
And so I'm that kind of guy that I started trying first, and then I decided to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got to a level where people recognized me and said, can you teach me? And enough people were saying it, I was like, well, I might as well make this my job because I love doing this. It's my passion since I'm young. But yeah, so sorry man, that was some long rant, but there's a lot of good points in there I wanted to make about.
I love the fact that you were talking about your grandma. I mean, what do you think about like your practice, how that could bring like a little bit more health into the world? I mean, like these past weeks, these past months, we've been talking about a lot about the coronavirus, how that shit is dangerous and blah blah blah. But there are diseases in the world compare it to. I don't like to compare it to like a health disease because it's not the same thing. Like somebody that's obese or whatever. But I mean, it's still like those are the things that actually matter because those are the things that are gonna get you live and long and prosper. How do you like bring your practice into like influencing people? Like, okay, guys, like when you see somebody that moves like shit or somebody that doesn't move at all, like how do you feel that you could bring some value to them?
So there's I always talk about there's a scale that I drew out because I was trying to think, okay, what have we got in this health and fitness industry? You've got physios, osteos, different types of physios. You've got yoga teachers now. You've got mobility teachers, movement teachers, Olympic level coaches, martial arts coaches. So many different types of people you can go to for health and fitness. Masseuses, right? Still in that industry. So I was like, what is what, and what is the scale here, and who's stepping on whose toes, and who's qualified and who's not? I realised actually, coaches cause the most injuries because they give shit to people they're not ready for. You know, they injure them because you can qualify in 4 weeks. It's BS, man. How you can qualify to be an expert in human movement and anatomy and biomechanics in 4 weeks, and if you've never done anything in your life, it's impossible. How can you be a yoga teacher and understand 7,000 years of yoga philosophy and the entirety of what yoga means and how to just how to teach? How can you even know how to teach in 4 weeks? Teaching is a skill in itself. So you can't do these things and claim you're a teacher in 4 weeks. You can get a certificate that's accredited by some organization who just made themselves up one day and got a certificate to say they're that. But that doesn't make you a teacher. So like there's way too easy entry into this industry.
100%.
And the quality has come way down because of that. My mission is not to change that because I can't do anything about that. That's the regulations. But I can upskill the industry and bring some quality back to it. And
it's a bit like when you were telling me that you weren't putting pressure into like big marketing. You're like I mean, because you're every time you train somebody right, the word goes out.
Yes.
And if you're not pushing it, it's just automatically it's organically growing.
Organically growing. I used to teach general public a lot, and I used to get bored because they'd be like, "I want to do calisthenics." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a calisthenics coach." You can't do a pull-up. I'd be teaching pull-ups all day, and I was like, my level of knowledge is beyond this. I need to be teaching more to stay excited about this. I can't
100%.
be teaching pull-ups. So I started coaching coaches and athletes, and then now I qualify them and certificate them in my things because I want to be discussing this at a very high level because I'm educated enough to do that and I've done the work for that. But the state of the industry is as such that, so we have this health and fitness industry. I would say on the far left you've got injury, and on the far right, performance. On the far left, major surgery. Coming in, minor surgery. Coming in, post-surgery rehabilitation. Therapy, sorry. So therapy is different to rehabilitation. Therapy, imagine you broke your leg and you need to learn how to get back on your legs. That's therapy. That's just getting back on your feet. Rehabilitation is rehabilitating the entire hip, knee and ankle to do the function that you used to do, like sport. But that's not therapy. The hospital don't do that for you. Yeah. So we've got post-surgery therapy and then rehabilitation. And then after you've rehabilitated a joint, back to function, which I would consider common function, then you have mobility training, which is for performance. And this mixes in with yoga because you have to have flexibility, which is a workspace, to create mobility in. So yoga and mobility are in this space in the middle. And then once you have range and you can activate it, you don't know what you're doing with it yet. Then you go into strength and conditioning. This is coaching, sports. And then you have Olympic level coaching, right? So this is a scale. And if you're an Olympic level coach, why you don't know anything about rehabilitation? You just know how to teach people how to do your sport. You don't know how to assess whether somebody's ready for it, how to bring someone back from an injury, how to rehabilitate an injury. As soon as that person becomes injured, you lost a client because you have to refer them.
Absolutely.
And you should be educated enough, one, to mitigate injury and to protect someone against it, and two, to recognize where somebody's not capable and to be able to bring them to capability. So people that are on this area where they're training people, they need to be learning more about yoga and mobility and rehabilitation so that they can better look after their clients. And then you've got the physios and osteos and the therapists who don't do any sport.
Yeah.
And they'll say, yeah, but so every day you've got sciatica, your piriformis is tight, I'm going to massage it for you, but the next day it's going to get tight again. So I'm going to print out this pigeon stretch and you're going to go and do that. Sorry, can you show it to me? Oh, no, I don't do yoga. And how can you recommend me a pigeon stretch when you don't even know how to do it? You can't even give me the cues. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You print something off and give it to me. You need to learn about how to do this stuff. You need to learn how to do a proper squat before you tell me about how to rehabilitate my hip when I'm a person that does squats. You don't know what you're talking about. So they need to learn more about coaching sport, and sports coaches need to learn more about therapy. And this gap needs to be closed. And that's what I'm trying to do, is close that gap and show people that you can be aware of this. You don't have to be an osteo to deliver massage and to deliver rehabilitative programs. You don't have to be a therapist for that. And you don't have to be a sports coach to deliver a few exercises in your studio as a therapist. Just give your client what they need and then refer them when your limit has been reached. And know what your limit is. Don't try to teach shit you don't know. You know what your limit is, you know? And I just think the industry is in such a state right now like that. I just really kind of makes me feel a bit shit about it. But then I was just like, I'm not the type of person that just gets down about conspiracies and all that stuff. And, oh, the world's going to end, you know? I'm like, well, I'm going to change what I can in my environment and be a light in my environment with my community. And I'll change what I can, you know?
Chris, you did a post recently that, like, you were saying that strength coach should go see football matches and sports coaches should go into the strength room and look what the other coaches are doing because they should understand why 1 is 1 + 1, right?
Yes.
And it's funny because I'll tell you a little story. I had a surgery on my shoulder. I have two. They cut my coracoid process and they screwed it onto my humeral head.
Right.
So that my shoulder wouldn't pop out anymore.
Right.
I had all my scapula that was fractured and my
They screwed it onto your humeral head?
And no, so to my
clavicle.
yes, exactly. So that the ligament would go onto my humeral head and it wouldn't pop out anymore because my labrum was shot. My scapula was fractured from mountain biking crash. And well, anyways, I got the surgery, and the hospital, what they do is they give you meetings 2 times a week to physiotherapy. And so what was hilarious is that the doctor and the physiotherapist over there, they didn't want me. They said I would never get over this flexion in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'm right here right now. And I mean, they said I shouldn't be able to go higher than this when I was in rehab, like ever. And so my girlfriend's a physiotherapist, and she took care of all my rehab across the process. And everything that I was doing, I had this mindset of this ideology that she would be doing the work for me, bringing me through that range of motion.
Yeah.
And she's like,
you got to do it.
She's like, you got it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna get here and here and here. You're gonna do all these things, and you're gonna use. And then I got there, and like this shoulder's stronger than this one now. I mean, it's crazy. It's
I would say one thing though.
Yeah.
What you just showed is shoulder flexion.
Yeah.
You did elevate your scapula at the same time, which is so if you keep the scapula down, pull it all the way down, depress the scapula, there. So then and straighten the elbow. So it's still up there, but the scapula is moving with it a bit.
Yeah.
If we did a true test on it right now, it would probably be less than 180.
Yeah.
But they probably said to you, you'd never go above here.
Exactly.
Right? I've had people that have
They said I would never be able to over-address, and then like...
A lot of, they say, doctors say you never walk again. Things like this. And I know somebody that broke his knee, he'll never walk on that leg again. He does front flips in the gym now. So it's like, you're right, it's too much doom and gloom and not enough knowledge, and we need to expand people's knowledge in the industry. But the problem, what can you do when the regulations are so loose? All you can do is try to put better education out there, and I think it's happening slowly, but I mean, I'm only alive for one lifetime, man.
Yeah.
So
you look at like you have a lot of fun when you train yourself, and I think that builds like a nice confidence when people approach you as well.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody asks me about stuff in person, I'll give them knowledge for free when I'm there if I've got the time. I just happily share whatever I know. And I said to my friend the other day, I want to start writing some books soon. I was waiting because, now I've got a world record and some other stuff. Yeah. I wanted to be able to say I'm an author that has some credibility, without just writing a book just for the sake of it. And I'm getting there. I'm getting to the point. I want to also get involved in writing some journal papers. And once I've been published in a couple of journals, I think I'll be able to write a book and say I'm on authority to write this. I'm going to start writing ebooks and books and put my knowledge on paper, the old school way. And I said, when I die, I'll make this all free. Because I only charge for it because I've got to live this way. And I need to make a career from it. But really, I want the whole world to know about this. I want people to find the joy in reconnecting with their bodies. And really, 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 I want to do it for humanity, honestly. I don't want it for my own gain. I don't want it to say I have my own gym or to be rich or anything. I just had so much joy from doing this. So much joy and so much strength and so much groundedness and so much confidence that came from doing these things. And I think if I can give this to people indirectly through training, this will make them better people. And if I can breed better people or train people to be better people indirectly, this is going to help humanity in the world overall. Because if people are more confident and they have more self-esteem and they feel better about themselves and they feel strong and they're not stressed because there's no tension in their body, imagine what interactions they're going to have. This world is going to be a better place.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want. I just want peace and love and happiness, man. Like, really.
Who's been your biggest influence, like, for having this mindset and this way of life?
Oh, there's a lot of influences, man, but there's one man who really helped me through, actually let me say two, through a whole load of stuff. I mean, I went through, I would say it was depression. There's different levels of depression. But I went through a really dark stage where I was just like really kind of sad, didn't know what I felt about life and what I was doing and all this kind of stuff. But I pulled myself out of it, you do eventually. And two of the people that helped me with that were Alan Watts. Right? He's a philosopher who talks about existential things. Who am I? What is this life? What is this body? And Sadhguru. So he's like a mystic and a philosopher. So Alan Watts is a British guy. I think he passed away now. Loads of his content on YouTube. And Sadhguru is an Eastern guy from India, a mystic and a philosopher. These guys, the way they talk about things, it's so eloquent and logical, you can't deny them. They're not talking about faith. They're not trying to preach to you. They just put it really simply. And I'll tell you one really short thing that Sadhguru said that was beautiful and I just loved it. He said, so many people in life think life is about becoming very straight and removing all of your flaws. Self-development. I have this flaw. I'm a bit like this and I'm a bit like that. I'm going to make myself so perfect. I'm going to do all this self-development. I'm going to be ideal. And he said, if you look at a rose flower, actually mostly this plant is thorns and vegetation. Not much is rose, but we still call it a rose flower because that's where your attention goes. And he said, on a rose flower, even though it has a lot of thorns and other things on it, you still want to have it because it's blossomed and it's bloomed and it's beautiful. So he said, if you try to pick off all your thorns, it's a never-ending process because there's too many of them. He said all that needs to happen is you just need to blossom as a human being, because when you blossom, people will accept all the quirks and the things that you have, all the little quirkiness you have, because you blossomed as a person. So he said this is not about making yourself all straight. He said, have you ever been with someone that's absolutely straight about everything and follows all the rules? They're a nightmare to be with. I don't want to be with this person because everything has to be just like that. So he said you need to learn to loosen the grip on life and just relax into your being and become joyful. And when you do this, you will blossom. And then he said, how to blossom? You can't pull a rose out of a rose bud. It has to blossom. He said, how do you do that? You have to nourish the roots. And he said, there's a particular science that I teach, he said, where we can nourish the roots. It's called yoga. And that's how he introduces yoga. He says, you have to do a certain amount of self-work to nourish your roots of your system and your being until you blossom as a being, as a human being. When you blossom and you become joyful, everyone wants to be with you and be around you. And maybe you're talk a little bit too much, or maybe you're a bit too much energy. I'm quite intense. I can talk a lot. But sometimes it's too much for people. But I'm joyful and I'm happy, and it comes from a good place.
You're yourself.
Yeah, and I'm myself. I'm genuine. I'm not trying to manipulate or do anything. I'm just myself. And
it's important to be authentic.
Yeah. So, maybe I am a bit intense. Maybe I'm a bit too much. But nobody really takes a problem with it because I'm joyful and I'm happy.
Yeah.
And that really hit me what he said.
And you smile too.
I smile, yeah. So.
That's important. People that you can never refuse a smile from somebody.
That's it.
If you don't smile, there could be something weird about it, but the smile changes everything.
Yes. As long as it's genuine as well.
Yes.
I hate fake smiles, man. It winds me up. I feel like I've got really good at what's the word? I don't analyze. I feel. Now when I sit with you, I feel really comfortable with you. I can tell you're very. We all have our moments. But in general, I can tell you're quite zen, you're quite comfortable in yourself, you're a grounded person, you know who you are. You have soft eyes, which means you're not angry at anything in particular. You might have some problems, but you seem chill. Maybe it's because we're in Bali in the sun, but
that can help. A week here can help.
We all get put in situations where that changes, but I'm saying in general, I can tell your spirit is generally at calm with yourself. And I think certain people come across as rigid or awkward or socially awkward or emotionally unstable and things like this, and I don't avoid those people, but I definitely can spot them a mile off, and I'm just careful around them because these types of people, they can be dangerous for you or toxic. You gotta be able to spot a narcissist, or you gotta be able to spot someone that wants to pull you down just because they want to drain someone or they want to cause drama. There's people like that, man. And I even got pulled into some drama here by someone, but I said to my friend, I'm really annoyed about this person spoke to someone else I know about me. They said something about me that was really nasty. I didn't even interact with this person much. I was just smile, say hello, and now I've heard this person that smiles at me every day has been saying some bad stuff about me.
It goes quickly.
I was like, what the hell? And I was like, I'm going to go up to this person and say, what the hell are you talking about? Confront them. He said, just don't do it. Don't even give them the energy.
It's not worth it.
I said, you're right, I'm just going to ignore them. And then that person tried to goad me by messaging me on Instagram and talking some more shit. I just blocked it and deleted it. I was like, I don't have time for this. I'm not even going to... You're doing this because you want a response. You want a reaction.
It happens all the time.
And whatever reaction I give you, you're going to try and twist that and use it to spiral me into your chaos. But I don't live in chaos. You're in chaos. And enjoy. I block you and delete you. Goodbye. I just didn't say anything and deleted it, and that's it. It's gone now. It's out of my life, and it's like that.
Something like that happened to me, similar, and I confronted and I regretted it.
Yeah.
It happens. Who are you?
They're looking for a reaction, man. And
Absolutely.
they look for it from you because they see you as, I think it's because they feel the energy. They might see that you're a very positive person. They might be jealous of you. They might be angry that you didn't give them some kind of attention that they wanted. Maybe they wanted to sleep with you and you didn't want to sleep with them, you know, something like this. And that then develops into them wanting to get attention or a rise out of you. They want something from you. And they probably don't even understand what they're doing. They just want something from you. But the easiest way is just to shut them out and let them cycle that out through themselves. They'll get rid of that. They'll get it out of the system eventually and they'll go away. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. So let's wrap this up with my three final questions, and they're quite nice. First one, well, it'll be maybe easy for you to answer because you've traveled a lot. Well, as we can see on your Instagram, it's quite a nice scene there.
I'm very fortunate and grateful for that as well.
Yeah. So which if you would have to choose like one country to move at, to live there for the rest of your life and do whatever you want, it could be whatever you're doing right now, or it could be something totally new. Which country would that be, and which place would you settle if you had one choice?
I haven't been to all the places I want to be yet, like Australia and places like that I want to check out. If it's purely based on location and not the people and the culture, then America.
Really?
Yeah, because
where in America?
Land of the plenty, man. Like, you got everything there.
Yeah.
That's not anywhere particular, but I mean, there's everything there. If it was for the culture and for the history and the roots of the place, India. And if it was
somewhere in India in particular, or
again, all of it, like the Himalayas all the way to the south. And that's my motherland, and I've got a dual passport for there, which I'm fortunate for, so I'm happy about that.
Were you born there?
No, I was born in London. But actually, Bali's really nice.
Absolutely.
I think
changing a lot.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and Indonesian people they're just so friendly, man.
They are the nicest people I have ever met. Very nice. Honestly,
very
it's
helpful,
crazy.
Open, nice people, and I love this place. I just think you can get swept up in the travel culture because there's a whole lot of travel backpacking that happens here.
Yeah.
But I love Bali as well. So, yeah, these are top 3 destinations. I mean, America I would only recommend purely because it's such a big land full of so much stuff. I mean, Grand Canyon, like if you go to the north where there's snowy mountains, and then California.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah, California, and then deserts, and then like Arizona and like Texas and Louisiana and Miami, and these places are beautiful, bro. But the culture there, I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of shit going on there, so it's too intense for me. And I like the whole American kind of way of their principles of living. Way back when you look at their constitution, like the freedom and this kinds of liberal stuff, I like that. But I don't know. It's quite a young country. There's a lack of the tradition and a lack of
no tradition.
Yeah, there's no deep-rooted culture. That's why I love India. There is a very deep philosophical culture there, not just for Indians but for humanity. That's where yoga came from. There's a lot of philosophy and thinking that happened there that has changed and shifted humankind's thinking. So yeah.
Awesome, man. That's good. The second question is quite funny, but what if you would get into a new room, if you would just get in over there at the pool, and what song would play in people's ears when they see you?
Oh man, you have to ask them that. I don't know. I have no
what
idea.
What do you think? Like, what's your fetish song?
That's a hard question. Why don't you answer it?
I have no idea.
Give me a song. Give me a song, man.
I'd
give me a theme tune.
Something with hip hop.
Hip hop?
Yeah, I think hip hop would be pretty good, or like something joyful about hip hop though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly.
But a lot of people come up to me when I'm at bars and clubs and ask me for drugs, and I'm just like, hey, listen, I'm not. I don't have that, man. I don't do that. I don't have that for you. But like, it's maybe I have that hip hop look or something. But that's from being in London. That's from being a city boy. Yeah. Like, we just urban style, And to be honest, that's partly why I have my own style in calisthenics. I'm not so rigid. Some of these Russians, Ukrainians, these people from there, they're mad strong. Some of the strongest guys are from there. I'm going to say it now. Probably the strongest people I've ever met in calisthenics are Eastern European. They're the strongest in the world. You can't beat them at strength. They are just ridiculous.
Their culture is very like...
Yes. But the way they are, they're so rigid with it, they can't move outside it.
Yeah.
So when I do one-arm pull-ups, it doesn't have to be completely clean. I start doing steps with it, or I do a back lever and I'll just do a little shake in it because the music's on and it sounds like that. Now you're adding style to it. This is something that the UK London scene brought to calisthenics, because before calisthenics was just about moves and it was brought from the US. It was prison workout outside, and it was about doing the muscle ups, doing reps up and down and getting blammy and getting strong. And then we were like, yeah, but let's add some swag, man. We do it to some music and be like, dum, 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 and then we start adding some freestyle. And then other countries would start saying the phrases we used to say. And basically the UK was very instrumental in creating subculture in calisthenics. So creating swag in it and giving it flair and making it look like something people thought looked like a bit more like entertainment, not just sports performance. And that's just part of my character because I'm from there. So I think that's a nice thing to have. It's just a playful way of living, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I heard so many good things about London. Like all my family are from Scotland, and I was born in Canada. But I need to get there one day. Like I've been hearing, this past year I've been hearing so much about it. Like I have this feeling in my gut that this is the next destination I need to go
really
and hit.
And hit me up if you come there, man. Yeah, I'll show you around.
Yeah, get me into calisthenics.
Oh yeah, I'll take you to the local parks where we all train, man. There's like 30 to 50 of us on a summer's day.
Wow.
Everyone's just training outside and chilling.
When it's not raining.
Yeah. Oh, actually when it's raining too.
Yeah?
If you're hardcore like us, yeah, man. Even when it's snowing, we train anytime. But
A little bit more slide and glide when you...
I mean, I know what's good for my body now, so I don't choose to do it when it's snowing and, -2 degrees, but...
You're lucky with the -2 though. We get -30 right now.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Oh man.
My final question is the best one to me is, what would be one piece of advice you would give to a 10-year younger of yourself?
I posted this on my Instagram recently on one of my posts. Follow the path your heart beats faster on. The heart knows what it wants.
Would you have listened to yourself if you would have told yourself that 10 years ago?
Or did anyone listen to anyone that's older than them when they were younger? You think you know it all, don't you? But as you get older, I think you become more open to wisdom and more open to other points of view. When you're young, you're finding yourself, man. And,
Yeah.
I recommend if you're under 25 that you travel.
Mm-hmm.
You need to experience other cultures, man. Otherwise, you'll only expand within a certain limit. As soon as you meet another culture, suddenly your mind will just blow open.
Yep.
Or everything is open to possibility.
And on my newsletter last week, I was talking about the ice cream theory, and it's when you're a kid and you go to the ice cream shop with your parents, you always try different flavors. Every time you go, you'll try a different flavor, and the adults would always take the same ones, the one that they think that they like.
Yes.
And but there's actually more to that. What happens if there's this new kind that one should be your favorite now, but you don't know because you never tried it.
I do that. I try different flavors all the time.
Exactly. There's this new donut shop that opened close here like a week ago, and I've been going there every 2 days at least.
What's it called?
It's
that's literally my favorite thing in the world.
oh,
donuts.
and they're vegan.
That's
vegan donuts.
My really secret. It's not even a secret pleasure. I had one last night at like 3 a.m. I love baked goods. If I go past a bakery, I'm going in there and getting a cake.
But they're like the bomb, and every day I try a new kind because I just like want to like know which one's my favorite.
What's it called?
It's
Let's give him a little shout out.
I follow one of them on Instagram. I'll check it on my phone and I'll give it to you. But they're honestly some of the best I've had.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, man.
Gonna hit it up now.
Appreciate it.
Let's bring it in, bro.